I forgot to record the meeting, so now I'm recording the meeting. Whoops, Kathy, that was your job to remind me.
Oh, I forgot, sorry.
You're bad. Oh, well. I got caught up in the mystery of the people who don't have windows, but I think I've asked, sometime inadvertently I asked Zoom not to show me those other people. This is an April 2nd, 2020 online yoga class. Gliding, C1 glide. We're starting with some cervical spine work. If you have therapy balls, yoga tune-up therapy balls, you could put your head on two balls in a tote and out for the glide, and it might be a pretty interesting way to support your cervical spine while you glide. The balls would support the glide. If you don't have it, go ahead and use what you have. Just know that if you stick with me, I may ask you to get a few props, including that set of therapy balls. Go ahead and bring your hands behind your head if they're not already there. And just use your bent elbows and your hands to stabilize your head so you're not moving your head. We're going to do a vagus nerve reset now. So the only thing you're going to move here is your eyeballs. So from this position, look to the right with your eyeballs only. Shift your eyeballs, shifty eyeballs, we could call this. And wait for an involuntary sigh, yawn, gulp. Sigh, yawn, gulp. There's one more, and I'll remember it soon. Now, if you're just starting to do this vagus nerve reset, you may not get that response. But as you practice it, you will. This is, in my opinion, the fastest, most efficient way to move your nervous system from fight and flight, where we spend most of our time, probably all of our time now, in coronavirus, and then move it to a healing, relaxing, restorative side of the nervous system. There are two sides of the nervous system. That's an oversimplification, but that'll do it for now. And this is a practice that moves you into the healing side. Go ahead and come back to center and move your eyeballs to the left. So everything is still. Kathy yawned. She's been doing this for a while, though.
Yeah, it happens right away with me.
Once you get a hold of this, it will happen on a regular basis. You can imagine that you could do this seated or standing. You could do this without your hands behind your head. And all you do is keep the whole body still except your eyeballs. What happens is the nerves in the eyeballs trip the nerve, the nerve in the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve in the body and starts at the occipital ridge. Do one more of these, right and left. You can keep your eyes open or closed. And then come back. Bring your arms beside your hips. And we're going to start some breath work. The first type of breath work is just noticing the breath you came into the virtual classroom with. Just inhaling and exhaling and watching the inhale and watching the exhale. This is called native breath. Just the fact that you're watching your breath actually changes it. It may get deeper and slower. Or even if it's the same depth and the same speed, the fact that you're watching it makes a mind-body connection, which is what yoga is. Yoga is union of body and mind. We're going to change to another kind of breathing, which two more kinds of breathing actually, which are all aimed at coronavirus prevention, just becoming aware of and creating a deeper breathing pattern. So go ahead and put your hands around your rib cage, the bottom of the rib cage, fingers up, thumbs down, just so you can monitor your inhale as you focus on the breath at the rib cage. And as your breath inhales, the rib cage expands side to side and front to back. And go ahead and focus on that and make it a big breath. And just allow the fingers to catch the rib cage. Catch the diaphragm as it expands. It expands and drops, by the way, flattens. So you can imagine it's like an umbrella. And it flattens. And then that's not a good analogy because an umbrella doesn't flatten unless it's broken. But it flattens, and then as you exhale, it rounds again. And if you can imagine that action, you'll actually enhance the benefits of your breath. Anytime you can embody or imagine your movement, it's an added bonus. Let's add an extended exhale. Still rib cage breathing. Inhale, count the length of your inhale, and then make your exhale longer than your inhale. So if it's a 3 inhale, make it 4 or 5 or 6 for your exhale. Take it easy. Not too much effort. So ribcage breath with an extended exhale. The last breathing pattern we're going to do is a diaphragm massage and breath, with breath. So Kathy's going to make her hands into little hooks, and she's going to hook her hands around the bottom of the rib cage. So and she can start at the center, at the center of the bottom of the rib cage, and then with the little crooks of her hands, she's going to dig into, you don't want to dig into other organs, you want to dig in up and under the rib cage where the diaphragm is. This is massage of the diaphragm, and go all the way out to the bottom of the rib cage, and then you can come back in. What happens is the diaphragm often gets very sticky. So you're helping the diaphragm to be in a better position to do the job it's supposed to do.
Sorry, I've got something on my screen.
Okay. So just take it slow and easy. If you have a question, comment, or feedback, you can put it in the chat box and I'll try to answer it for you and everybody else. I'll answer it on voice and on the chat box. Once you've done this for a while, now we're going to breathe with it. So find a place along your rib cage, tuck your fingers underneath the rib cage, and press into the diaphragm, and take an inhale, and your fingers will pop out or away because of the inhale. And then exhale, and it allows the hands to hook again underneath the diaphragm. And just keep doing that all along the rib cage, changing the position of your fingers if you want. If it's hard to focus on, this is always true. If it's hard to do two, try one. Try the right side, doing the right side on the left, or just doing the left side. Sometimes it's easier to focus on it that way. And while we're still on our backs, we'll be on our backs for a while. So wiggle if you need to. If your body gets restless, wiggle your feet or your toes or your hips side to side or anything like that. But we're going to do a hypopressive. So hypopressive is both pelvic floor, core work, and breath work. So continuing to breathe. Kathy's on her back. You're going to be continue on your back. Bring your arms up in front of your armpits as if you're hugging a tree. Then flip your palms towards the sky. Press the palms into the sky and your scapula into the floor. Lift your toes so the heels stay, and walk your feet a little forward, Kathy. So your knees are bent, your ankles are bent, your toes are forward, your ankles are in dorsiflexion. Take 3 breaths, and then you're going to hold your breath while I count to 10 for you. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more breath. Inhale and exhale. Hold your breath out, no breath. And I'll count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go ahead and inhale and exhale. Bring your arms down by your side. Extend your legs. We're going to do another hypopressive. We'll do left and right. So the first thing you're going to do is cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And bring your arms overhead with the palms. So right ankle is over left ankle, and then the left hand is on top of the right hand. And then bring your arms out overhead as much as you can with your arms as straight as you can. 3 breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out. Spread your rib cage. 1, 2, 3. No breath. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale and exhale. We're going to switch sides. Left ankle over right ankle. Your arms come up and let's see. So your right hand is on top. And spread your arms straight overhead. Take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Hold your breath out. No breath. Spread your rib cage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Inhale and exhale. I'm going to have you come up onto your hands and knees, quadruped, and do 3 movements from the quadruped position. So if this is too much on your knees, go ahead and put a blanket or something under your knees. Your knees should be directly under your hips. You can put a mobility strip if you have one under your knees. Or you can put a blanket. But something to cushion the knees if it's too much. If this position is too much, because we're going to be here for a little while. 3 moves. Knees directly under the hips, the arms directly under the shoulders. We're going to do a cat-cow. This is a spine work all along the spine. So as you take your belly button up toward the ceiling, rounding the back, and focusing on the lumbar spine and the hips, and then come back down. Inhale, and the belly button goes toward the floor, and focus this time on the chest and creating. Lift your head a little, Kathy. Lift your head, okay, and then lift your chest. So you're actually there. That's better. So now go ahead and exhale. The belly goes up, the navel goes up towards the ceiling. Focus on the hips as you round. And inhale, the belly button drops toward the floor. And focus on the upper body And the chest, lift your head and your chest, open your chest more on this one. Yeah, try to find an open chest. Straighten your arms and open your chest. And inhale, curl up. Focus on the lumbar spine. Think about that. And then exhale, belly button drops, curl down, and focus on an open chest. And keep going here 3 more times. Rounding up and rounding down. Really good work for the spine, for both the lumbar spine and the thoracic spine. And finish up. Come back to neutral. And now we're going to do a balancing movement called bird dog. So go ahead and Kathy, take your right hand, everyone, take your right hand forward, parallel to the floor. Yes. And now your left leg parallel to the floor. And stay here and take some breaths. You should feel core work here, balance, core and balancing. And breath. Take a couple breaths. And then bring your arm down, bring your knee down, and switch sides. Left arm, right leg. See if you can feel even on your hips. So you're not lifting one hip, usually the lifted leg hip. You're not lifting that higher than your other hip. Stay here and take some breaths. And repeat on the other side. Think of your hips or try to imagine and also create evenness across your hips. So drop your right leg a little, Kathy. Drop your right leg and your right hip a little. Yeah, I think that's better. It's a little hard for me to see exactly whether Kathy's, whoops, come on down, Kathy. Come on down. And the last side. Oops. So if this is hard for you, you could just do an arm and then bring it down and do a leg. So just know this is an all levels class. You can always find something for you to do, some way for you to move. Go ahead and drop into a child's pose to rest. Your legs can be spread wide. Crawl your arms forward so you can stretch your armpits as well. If you need to, you may need a brick underneath your head or a brick underneath your hips or a blanket underneath your head or hips. Just stay here and take some breaths. If the child's pose is a resting pose, if it's not resting for you, you need to find a prop that helps make it so. Go ahead and come onto your back again in a supine position, and we're going to do some basic hip work. Lie on your back with your knees bent. Make sure that your cervical spine is supported by your stack of towels. We're going to just move each joint in the body has a number of directions of movement, and that's it. So the pelvis think of your pelvis, which starts at your pubic bone, but then goes all the way up to your waist, right? And holds the pelvis actually is where the femur attaches to the torso. So you're going to tilt. There are 6 directions of motion for the pelvis. The first is tilting back and forth. Actually, this is probably the one you're most familiar with. So just tilt. How can I describe this to you? You can either think of your pubic bone as tilting up, back and forth, or the back of your pelvis, the top of it, as tilting. Now, you're not lifting anything off the floor. This is just a rocking motion. And when the back of the pelvis goes backwards toward the floor, your spine straightens, your waist flattens. And then when you tilt forward, there's a little more space at your waist. So tilting back and forth you go. When the top of your pelvis meets the floor, that is called an anterior tilt. You don't have to remember this, but that's what it's called. And then the other direction is a posterior tilt. So try to do this movement back and forth. See if you can keep your legs out of it and your torso, so that the movement is only here. If this movement bothers your lower back, or if lying supine on the floor bothers your lower back, you may want to put a folded blanket under your hips to make the curve of your spine just a little more gentle. So back and forth you go, with very subtle movement, but basic movement. I have someone in my class, my in-person class, who said this set of movements actually changed the way she moved, the way she walked, and her pain level dramatically after just one session. Stop this movement, this tilt, and then we're going to go to the side. So these are called hip hikes. You want to put your thumb at the top of the side of your hips. So it's at your waist. And bye, Joanne. Sorry about your battery. So put your thumb, poke around at your waist, and find the top side edge of your pelvis. And then you're going to hike up. So on the right side, hike, move that top of the pelvis, move it towards your armpit, and then drop it, and then move it towards your armpit. And so move it and move it. Hike up, come back down, return. So this is a movement. This is another direction of movement, DOM, for the pelvis. It's actually something a belly dancer does very well. So as you move, just think of your pelvis moving side to side. You can see that when you hike the right side of the pelvis toward the right armpit, the left side of the pelvis drops. So do it a couple more times. And try to be aware of both your breath and your movement. And slower is better. It's always better. You're training the brain to pick up the move and work with you on it. The last pair of directions of movement, DOMs, of the pelvis is rotation. So if you can put your forefinger on the bony mark that's in the front, towards the outside actually, but in the front of your pelvis, and then drop. Let's see, you're going to draw. This is left right also. So press the right side of the pelvis towards the floor. The left side hikes up, but it's not hiking up towards the armpit. This is a side to side hike, and then lower. So press down, right, then come back up and press on the left. So
very subtle.
This is a very subtle movement. The hardest thing to do is do this without the hip hike, which is what we just did. But it's a drop, and then come back forward to neutral, and then drop on the other side. Those are the 6 directions of motion of the pelvis. People don't know these directions, and when you can practice these and isolate the movement so that you're not moving your femur or your torso or your spine, when you're quietly moving just this section, body part, it'll make a huge difference in the way you walk, and it might actually improve if you have lower back issues, it might reduce the pain in your lower back. Come back to center. We're done with that set of 3 pairs of directions of motion of the pelvis. Kathy's going to put her feet on the floor, parallel, and we're going to do leg lifts. This is a basic hip movement. Just think of the head of the femur as settling into the acetabulum, which is a dent in the pelvis, and you're going to lift the right knee towards your face up to a 90-degree angle, and then bring it back down. And think of the movement as coming at the hip joint. So think of that. That's what drives it. It's not a knee or ankle movement. It's a hip movement. So nice. So leg lifts, and then bring it to 90 degrees. So see if you can come to a 90-degree angle, and then return. So slowly, inhale, you can come up. Exhale, return. Do 3 more of these, everybody. This is one of the pure basic movements that the femur makes in the hip joint. This will help you, your balance, your posture, your walking, and your knees. And your ankles, actually. When you can isolate this move. Go ahead and switch sides. This is hip flexion and extension. So extension, and then coming up, flexion. I like to do this off a park bench or a bed, so you can actually take the foot all the way down to the to level, so that your feet are parallel, but that's not available to us on a mat. So inhale and exhale, return. Slow it down. So notice that Kathy keeps her return is to a 90-degree angle. You don't need to take your leg any farther than that. Come back. Now we're going to do adduction abduction. So Kathy's going to drop her right knee out to the side and then come back. Make it slow. Make it a movement that happens with the muscles along the side of the thigh. So if you start to feeling that there's work being done at the crease where your thigh meets your pelvis, you're doing flexion extension. You're adding a flexion. You're adding compensation. So make this pure. Don't go too far. When you first start this, it may be a very small movement. Slow, pure, with breath. We're aware of the movement and aware of the breath. So it's a rotation, a hip rotation out to the side. Slow it down. And switch sides. These are called knee drops. So if any of you want next Monday to be the student model, just let me know in the chat box. Kathy will give up her role. It's kind of fun. You get extra attention as the model. Teacher's pet kind of thing. Come on back. This time we're going to do a figure 4 and add resistance. So go ahead and bring your knee up and then cross the ankle over the opposite knee. And stay here. Now just know that this is a hip opener already. You can just be here and breathe. And if you want to, go ahead and add ankle circles to the right. So just because you're here, because you can. This is called stacking, when you can do 2 different things at once. It's not multitasking, it's stacking. Stacking, which is good, multitasking, which is not. I'll try to teach you the difference between the two at some point. So, but this is stacking. You're doing 2 things together, but they don't interfere with one with the other. Go ahead and press your right hand into the front of your knee on your right. Press, and we're going to do a little resistance here. So press the hand into the knee and the knee into the hand, and allow the hand to win in one direction and then the knee to win in the other direction. So your hand and your knee are always moving and they're always resisting. This is adding Kihara resistance stretching to your practice. So as you come, as you go, as your hand presses out, the knee resists the pressure of the hand. As the knee comes in, the hand resists the pressure of the knee, but one time the knee wins and one time. Can you guys feel the resistance? And go ahead and switch to the other side, Kathy. And everybody.
Now notice the leg comes up and then across.
Well, that's the thing. So start over again, Kathy. So you don't want to cross your ankle when your foot is on the floor. You want to bring your knee up and then cross over. And then find a figure 4. And then start to do your ankle circles. So maybe 5 or 6 in one direction, 5 or 6 in the other. And then do the resistance movement with the hand on the knee. So don't move anything else. So don't try not to move the torso or the right knee. This is a game or a dance between your left hand and your left knee. Press. So Kathy, when you move your hand forward, resist with the knee. So the knee hand goes forward, the knee resists back. This is a fairly small movement. It's going to actually help with tight hamstrings. And sciatica, because it increases the stretch along the outer edge of the thigh and the buttocks. Finish up here and come up to standing. Come up to standing. If you have a yoga brick, or a large telephone book, or there are no telephone books anymore, but anyway, you're going to stand beside the wall with the inside foot on a brick. If you don't have a brick, you can do this without a brick. You can stand on a blanket. Anything that'll bring your height up a little bit. We're going to do a pendulum. So just go ahead and Kathy's going to swing her dangling leg. It's really a dangle. It's not effort. It's finding a little more space in the hips. It's not pushing backward and forward. It's a dangle at the hip. So just allowing the hip to the leg to swing. You can do this on a curb. You can see that it's a balancing exercise, so though you need some sort of a safe point.
Or a step.
You can do it on a step. We're going to stay on this side and go ahead and do hip hikes. The same thing we did supine. So just up and down. And the nice thing about this is you have a little more space to hike and to unhike. And then go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left, in front. Kathy, in front, yep. Then take your right arm, then we're going to do a side bend. Take your right arm up and over your head and onto the wall if you can get to the wall. Otherwise, just up and over. But if you're up and over, palm facing the wall and maybe pressing into the wall. The crossing of the ankles makes a bigger side bend. Up and over, nice. So you can't see Kathy's crossed ankles, but you can almost see them. Yeah. So all you're doing is a nice side bend, supported side bend, using the wall and the brick as your prop. Stay here and take some breaths. If you want, you can move your neck, your head and your neck while you're here. And then just go ahead and switch to the other side. We'll do those three things on the other side.
I think if I put it here.
We're running a few minutes late, but Okay, so just a pendulum. So just swinging the leg, dangling the leg, allowing it to feel the space that you can create for it in the hip. This should feel so good. I wish I was doing it, but I'm just watching you. Dangle, dangle, dangle. Allow it to swing. And then go ahead and start doing hip hikes. These are the same hip hikes that we did supine. You may want to put your finger on the top of the side of your hips and then hip hike up and then return, up, turn. Two of the basic directions of movement of the pelvis. Try not to use anything but your pelvis. The leg comes along for the ride, obviously, in this standing position. And then the last thing is that side bend where Kathy's going to cross her ankles, cross the outside ankle over the inside ankle, in front of the inside ankle. That's good enough. And then arm up and over. If you can, you can put your palm on the wall. If you can't, that's okay too. Just stay here and breathe. This is a really nice way to do a side bend, to do a little more with a side bend, actually. Your crossed ankles and your arm on the wall actually help with the side bend. And then come on down to the floor and we'll close the class with a Yoga Nidra meditation, 61-point guided meditation. I love this meditation, and they say that the more you do it, the more beneficial it is. So I often do this as a closing of the class. You're going to lie on your back in a comfortable position. Your knees could be bent or extended, legs extended. Your eyes can be closed. You may want to put a washcloth over your eyes. If it's cool at your house, your virtual classroom, your virtual yoga studio, go ahead and put a blanket over your body. We're going to start just by observing the breath. I'm going to take you through, mention some body parts that I want you to pay attention to with your mind and your awareness, but not move. So no movement. This is called Yoga Nidra. So you're becoming aware of something, but not moving it. Start with your breathing in and breathing out, observing your abdomen as it rises and falls with the gentle flow of your breath. And then bring your awareness to the center of your eyebrows, center of your throat, right shoulder, elbow, wrist, right big thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, right wrist, elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, left shoulder, elbow, wrist, left thumb, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, fifth finger, left wrist, left elbow, shoulder, center of your throat, spiritual heart center, right side of your chest, heart center, left side of your chest, heart center, navel center, center of your pelvis, right hip, right knee, right ankle, right big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, right ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, left ankle, knee, hip, center of your pelvis, navel center, heart center, center of your throat, center of your eyebrows. This completes the 61-point guided meditation. Go ahead and extend your legs and wiggle and stretch. Try to create some space between your pelvis that we worked on today and your rib cage that we worked on today. Hi, Popcorn. My grandpuppy. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Right side, left side. Hug your right knee to your chest. And then your left. Bring both knees to your chest. Rock from side to side. Thank your body for bringing you here. Roll to the side towards me. Stay in a fetal position. And then after a breath or two, come on up. Using your top hand to come up. Find a floor-seated position. If you're cross-legged, you may want to sit on a brick. Bring your hands, palms together, prayer pose. Press your palms together. Nod your skull over C1. We're going to close the class by saying to each other, Namaste. And it will be a silent one for all of you because I have you all muted. So just imagine all of us are saying Namaste.
Namaste.
Kathy and I can say it. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording. If anyone has any questions, I can answer them after I've stopped the recording.
Thank you.